Give it a first take.
Right, so
Action. It's filming, so whenever you want.
Okay everyone, hi, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all well in these times, which to be honest aren't great and haven't been for a while. I hope you're all managing to get outside and all of that, and that's exactly what we're doing today. We're heading over to a place in Bristol called Eastville Park. We've been told we might be able to find and film some kingfishers there. So it kind of raises the question, why aren't so many people in our generation trying to do the same? Why don't people take enjoyment from getting outside anymore and would rather look at their screens and so on? And it's not about pointing the finger and blaming people, because you can't control what people care about. And to be honest, in today's society, people don't really have enough reason to care for nature. It's just not part of our culture anymore, which is a shame. And that is the conservation challenge that we're talking about today, and it's the stem of many more challenges that I'm going to talk about in the future. For example, I made a pair of videos on the challenge that we're facing with the litter crisis at the moment, and of course the source of that is that not enough people care about nature and appreciate it for what it is, for its intrinsic value. So today we're going to Eastville Park, as I said, and we're going to have a chat and a think about why people don't care about nature enough. So yeah, we're going to meet our friend Lucy, myself and Matteo, and we'll speak to Lucy about that, but also we'll take you along the ride and let's see if we find any kingfishers. Right, we're here, and so is Lucy, so let's go meet her.
Hey, how's it going?
Long time no see. Good to see you.
And you?
Ready to film some
Yeah,
kingfishers?
let's get going.
Yeah, let's get the kit out.
Cool.
Cool. Well, yeah, so this is Lucy. She's a wildlife filmmaker and camerawoman who recently moved to Bristol to try and make it in the industry. Yeah, I already explained a little bit about what this video was. It's an episode of the Conservation Challenges series, which is where I talk about some of the challenges that we face in conservation and sometimes talk about how we can solve them, but mainly just why they're so important. So today, we're talking about why people don't really care about nature, or the fact that people don't care about nature enough. And we are the minority here in that we would enjoy coming to a place like this and trying to film a certain species, and we'd find it exciting and fun, but not many people our generation would do that. So for me, at school I never really had any mates who liked wildlife. I had plenty of friends, but it was a different group really, and none of them were interested in wildlife or conservation. And yeah, did you have a similar experience?
Yeah, I did. It just wasn't cool when I was at school.
Yeah.
It was I was seen as the weirdo that would go and find grasshoppers in the playing fields and stuff. So yeah, it was definitely just seen as kind of the uncool thing to be into, which I couldn't really understand why even at that time. And looking back now, I don't see why kids need to feel it's weird or anything like that.
I don't think we're given any reason to see it as cool.
Yeah,
it's just not really part of our culture anymore. So at school I was the same, and I kind of was at risk of falling out of touch with nature because I just didn't have any opportunity to talk about it with anyone or to enjoy it with anyone, which is why it's so good being in Bristol, where people like myself and you and Matteo can go and film and stuff.
People,
yeah. But so do you still find that now, even though you're with people like us who take interest in nature? Do you still find it hard to kind of?
I think it's just a there's just a very out of touch culture at the moment where people, I think, want to understand more about the natural world. I don't think there's a lack of interest. It's just people haven't been given that opportunity to realise that is something you can investigate and be interested in. And you know, so many people I've spoken to just they don't know this stuff, but then as soon as I sort of come out with some weird facts like I do, they actually go, oh, actually that's quite cool, like, you know, even if it's some mundane like worm or like an ant, they're like, oh, actually that's pretty cool. So I don't know if there's a lack of interest. I also think that people just I mean, some people like chocolate ice cream, some people like strawberry ice cream. Like, people just don't necessarily like the same stuff as
Not
other
everyone's
people.
going to like nature.
And what is needed is trying to get people to understand that you don't have to be completely obsessed with something in order to care about it. You don't have to know everything about the natural world in order to care about climate change or conservation issues, etc. And yeah, it's just about allowing people to know that it's okay to care about something that, you know, has been for so long seen as like a hippie thing, and you know, it's not cool to like trees or you know.
No, I agree, and I think that's something I'm trying to push in my videos. You don't need to be an expert on nature to care about it and to want to protect it and to know that it needs protecting. And I think it can be almost quite intimidating in a way if you're someone who's not interested in nature and then suddenly trying to get into it and talk to people who might know loads of stuff about nature and you know absolutely nothing. Trying to identify bird song, for example, it can be pretty difficult.
I definitely felt that moving to Bristol, because I feel, you know, it's that typical, you move from, you're a big fish in a small pond, and then you suddenly become a small fish in a big pond, a very big pond, and you know, you think you know some stuff, but actually there's just so much more. And actually I've learned to kind of change my mindset into thinking that that's actually really cool, that you could never stop learning about
being a
stuff.
naturalist is so cool.
And you learn new stuff every single day, and I just think that's really cool, right? How can that be uncool? I don't understand how kids can. And I mean, I think it changes from that young age when everyone kind of loves butterflies and looking at bugs in the soil.
You'll never meet a kid who doesn't find, you know, a butterfly cool.
Exactly, yeah. But then it seems to be that kind of adolescent time when suddenly people lose touch, and it's a real shame, because I think that's quite a significant time in everyone's life, when you start discovering your own interests and you start becoming your own person a little bit more.
Well, it's interesting what you were saying about how it can be black and white. Maybe some people aren't aren't made to like nature, but I don't know. We've obviously evolved with nature, and everyone should have some deep-rooted connection to nature, and people have realised that a bit during lockdown.
100%.
But I wonder really where people fall out of touch, like you're saying, probably in school. Maybe schools aren't doing enough to get people outside. I definitely think that it needs to be part of the curriculum more. You know, it needs to be taught in general school, that, you know, things like, I mean, at my school, I went to quite a rural school, and we were quite lucky enough that they had like all these ideas of like making an outdoor classroom. We had farm animals to look after. We, you know, produced all the food that was used in the refectory. And, you know, we were quite lucky in that we had a couple of teachers that were really into the outdoors and outdoor industries and stuff. So we had that kind of doorway into that. But still, I mean, I could count on two hands how many people were interested in that and how many people got involved in that. But what I mean by some people are interested and some people aren't, I do think that is the case, but I think that people can still care about stuff they're not interested in, and people can still see the importance of something, even if they don't. Like, I can see the importance of politics, but I don't like to read about it every day, or like, you know. Same.
So it's just kind of letting people understand that it's okay to care about that, even if you don't want to know about every bird species there is. Or,
you don't have to be obsessed with nature. And I think I'm similar to you in that I was given an opportunity to come to care for nature and to be interested in it, because I grew up in the countryside. But a lot of people aren't given the reason to, and then they're just told to care about nature because they're given some stats about how biodiversity is declining.
And I feel like it's been so thrown at people's heads at the moment, like the intensity of how bad the situation is, which as kind of naturalists we understand that it's got to be intense, and that, you know, what's happening is very, very serious. But as a human race, I think we panic if something's coming too fast out in our direction, and we don't have a chance to understand it. And I think, I mean, so many people have said to me when I've like asked, "Oh, have you seen the latest series about climate change and the stats and things?" And people have said to me, "I don't want to watch it. I'm too scared."
Well, everyone's so disconnected, and I think if people aren't given a personal reason to care about nature, then you can't force it on them,
No.
and you need to let people develop that connection themselves, which I don't think people are given the opportunity to do. You know, most people in wildlife filmmaking, like us here, we've all grown up with nature or had parents who have got us into it, or gone to a school that would encourage it a bit more, and then we're kind of lucky in that way because we can appreciate nature. But a lot of people aren't given the chance, and then they're just told they need to care about something.
Yeah, and I think that's the good thing about things like the wildlife filmmaking industry, is because we are in a way making that world accessible to the people that perhaps only have a flat to live in, or
Yeah.
you know, they don't have that access, and giving people that kind of window into the natural world will hopefully allow them to have that kind of personal connection that you said about, because that's so important, to make people emotionally connected to something.
Yeah.
Is the way to make people care and want to protect it.
I think that's definitely like one of the most important things about wildlife film. But I think there's kind of a downfall in wildlife film at the moment, and the films I've made as well. I've only really realised recently, it's obvious, but the people who watch wildlife films most of the time are just going to be people who are interested in wildlife, and we need to reach people who aren't. So you know, you're probably going to have a hard time getting someone who doesn't care about wildlife to watch one of my videos and think, actually, yeah, I need to do something for conservation.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think something drastic needs to be changed, or we
Yeah.
need a new approach.
Yeah, I think this is a conversation I've had a couple of times with a few people. I just think that the way that natural history productions have been made in the past and for such a long time now have been very specific. There's never been any kind of particularly exciting branches from that main channel of information, and whilst that's been pretty successful up until now, we're realising that we're reaching far bigger audiences, and these audiences, to keep their attention, need to be entertained in a different way, and just having a voiceover to some pretty shots isn't necessarily what's going to keep people's attention anymore. And I think definitely different genres, I don't know how to word it, but different versions of natural history film need to be explored to make it a little bit more, not necessarily accessible, but understandable and engaging to the mass public.
I think wildlife film so far has done a really good job of kind of showcasing wildlife to be cool, and you know, someone who doesn't care about nature might watch a video of a peregrine falcon and think that's pretty sick, but it doesn't really go any further than that. And I think that niche, or that kind of area of wildlife film, has been saturated. You know, I don't think it can be made to look any more cool because of some of the films that have been made. So yeah, there are new avenues that need to be explored, and even if it's not in wildlife film, some other way, you know, engaging people in practical conservation or something, it needs to be addressed. But
I do think that social media needs more exploration. I think it's just such a powerful tool that, if used in the right way, could be so beneficial for this industry. You know, you can make a 5-minute documentary about a topic and have it out to millions of people in seconds, and I just think that's, you know, it's something that has maybe been overlooked a little bit.
It's underexplored.
So
exactly. I think that's what we're kind of trying to get people to think about today. We don't need like a set answer to the question, how do we get people to care about nature more? But we just need to start thinking about it a bit more, because as we say, it's underexplored, that topic, and it's easy if you're in conservation or if you're in wildlife film to just get on with the work that you're doing in the normal way, and you know, you're at risk of just making films that only people who are interested in wildlife will care about, and that needs to change. So
don't be afraid to explore those new avenues and try out your own styles, and just try things that are a little bit different. Like don't be afraid to explore those. I think that's really important.
So that's what we're trying to encourage people to think about. If you have any thoughts on that, then comment below, and please share this with people and get their thoughts on it, because it's such an important topic, and there are so many people making wildlife films at the moment. who are probably having that same problem. You know, David Attenborough's last series, it's likely that only a small proportion of people watching that were a new audience. You know, people who watched that film had probably been watching David Attenborough for a long time, and it's the case with so many other wildlife films and series. So yeah, please share this video. It's an important topic and a lot of positivity can come out of it. It can revolutionise the way that we get engaged in conservation today. Yeah, so thanks Lucy, that was
so much.
a really good chat.
Thanks for having me.
Imagine if I didn't record the audio. I did. I did. Okay, so there we are. We didn't manage to film any kingfishers. We did see one, or Lucy and Matteo saw one, and I went off to grab the camera and missed it, obviously. So I've still never seen a kingfisher in the wild in the UK, which I'm still embarrassed about. But anyway, hopefully, I know this video was a little bit random, but hopefully we've shown that, you know, it's just good to get outside and be with friends and appreciate nature. And I know most people watching this will be like that anyway. But yeah, I do hope that we've kind of kept those questions in everyone's mind about why people who aren't already engaged, why they aren't engaged in the first place, and what can we do about that. So yeah, I do encourage you to share this video, have a think about what we said in the chat with me and Lucy, leave some comments if you have any thoughts, and yeah, if you like this sort of content, then subscribe and see you next month.
Right, Alex is over there leaving. Okay. Right guys, like Alex said, make sure you go subscribe to his channel because he really deserves it.
Also, give us a follow, Naturally Lucy, on Instagram.
And Matteo_wildlife. Right, that's it. I hope you guys have a great day. Alex, you better put this in.